8 o'clock, just so you know.
Yeah, I just hit it. All right, we're live. Thank you so much for checking in with us again, everyone. So last week we drew Spider-Man. An error occurred. Uh-oh. It says an error occurred.
Uh-oh. Restart.
Oh, no.
What?
We may be streaming right now. We may not. I don't know. So it worked. Okay, we're coming back. Here we go. Okay, we're back.
All right.
We may never have been gone.
We don't even know.
All right. Anyway, so last time
I don't even know.
I don't even know.
I don't even know.
No error, says DPLA. Well, thank you, and sorry about the hiccup there, but yeah, it broke on my screen here. So
I want to say thank you to whoever's got the snacks. I'm glad you came prepared. I was reading. Oh, it's Nays Leorn.
Yeah.
Nays, thanks for bringing the snacks. I'm curious as to know what you're eating tonight.
Yeah. All right.
I'm jealous, actually. I wish I had snacks.
Yeah, me too.
I only
me
have
too.
water.
Except that nobody really wants to watch me eat on this thing. You know, I don't like watching that.
Nobody wants to listen to somebody eating while they're talking.
Hi, Charles Petrie, Brandon Spence, Henry Jeremick is here. Great to see you, Henry. You're a good sport. I always appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming. Alpin, it's great to see you. ACDC Art Attack, thank you so much for coming and watching the stream. I really appreciate it. It's great to have you here. Thank you.
I'm talking about snacks and you're saying hello to people. You're so nice. You can tell where my priorities are.
John Hughes, thank you for coming. Kenny Wang, Angel Morales. Okay, so I'm not going to make you guys wait forever.
Let's get
going.
Started.
Here we go. All right.
I say that, but I'm not doing anything except sitting here with my computer in my lap. So get to work, dude. That's really how it goes every day. I'm like, did you get your page done? Get to work.
Yeah, well, and here I go.
See some Venom.
I should move this on the screen a little bit.
See some Venom, not hear some Venom.
Look at this. We're running into trouble. Error, not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Something's going on with our stream.
Do you want me to go upstairs and kick some kid butt?
Yes. All right, so hopefully we're still working and everything's fine, but just in case, Meredith's going to go up and troubleshoot. And by that, we mean check and make sure the kids aren't streaming also. So we'll see. In the meantime, I'm going to keep drawing and hope for the best. It's not the best way to start the night. So I'm sketching in my Venom head here. And this is going to be an easy one, at least to lay out, because I already laid it out. Humphrey Bear, does Spider-Man have tattoos? You know what? I guess it depends on your Spider-Man. There's more than one now, right? I don't know of one with tattoos, though. Rob S. Hi, thank you. Thank you. Birch Cow. So we'll have Meredith back in just a minute. She's laying down the law upstairs. And without her, I'm kind of going a little quiet, so apologies for that. This is why we have Meredith, though, because on my own, this would be a very quiet stream. So I erased this quite a bit during the last stream, so I just want to kind of reset it just so I know what I've got. You know what? I think I know what I've got. Close enough. It's got a foot here. All right, here we go. We're gonna start inking. Simeon, we are doing great. Hopefully you're doing well. Nick from Detroit, hey, from across the river back. Oh, and Daniel Castelli, thank you so much for the super chat. You make me excited for Sundays. Thanks a lot, bro. Well, thank you. And all of you guys do too. Thank you so much for everyone who's subscribed and who's watching these. It's, you know, it means a lot to both of us, to both Meredith and I. So we really appreciate it. And by the way, I was actually planning. I wanted to change the name and make sure to get Meredith's name in there. And I was thinking, how can I make it Dave and Meredith? Because but Meredith and Dave, it does actually kind of sound better. I think we're gonna end up going with that. And I meant to do it for this one, but I forgot, of course. Jake Carlson, yes, inks already. Well, you know what? We're not messing around here.
Whoa, you're not messing around.
Not messing around. And by the way, Jake, I drew most of this in last week. So it's making, and Venom, I want to be able to spend some time on. He's a lot of fun. I really enjoy him. I think this is, Meredith's back. We're back in business. So is he streaming?
Your bit rate's too high apparently, and you won't let him help. You won't let him help you fix it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And he's so frustrated.
I'm sure it's frustrating. I'm sure it is. All right, you're falling down on the job here.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get back up on the stream. So because I'm super behind. I mean, that took a bit of time. Did you say thanks for the super chat?
I did.
All right. Thanks, Daniel. Good to see you this week. All right. I gotta find the beginning. Yo, Finchy. That's Joe Blankenship.
Yo, Joe Blankenship.
Yo, Finchy, what it do, bruh?
Oh, I see Michael McCurdy's here. It's always great to have Michael here.
I'm so bad when I...
It's great to see, and Alex Xavier is here. It's great to see you. Jordan Seward, Sheldon Martin.
Did you know that Tango Beats is wearing his Venom shirt for this?
Oh, that's great. I don't have a Venom shirt.
No, you don't.
I need to get one.
You do.
And they look cool, too.
I'm not buying it. SCS Powerlifting in the house. Wrestling and Finch make a great Sunday night. And that's a super chat, so...
Oh, well, thank you very much. Again, SCS, always appreciated.
And I'm gonna cough. I've been coughed for hours tonight.
It's because you're on the spot.
Talking. It's because I'm talking. Anyway, we have a super chat from Jake Carlson.
Oh, thank you so much, Jake.
And he's saying he's just poking fun about the inks, and he's glad to be.
Oh, well. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't hurt. Thank you.
I wasn't even here for it, but I'm offended.
Hopefully I'm still on the screen here.
Yeah, come on.
You know what? Let me switch out because it's actually much easier for me to see where I am here. All right, we're good.
I'm scrolling back up to see if I can get to the beginning of the chat. I was at the Venom shirt. Mad Monkey says, you're my inspiration, and I feel like that really makes me want to sing. You're the meaning in my life. You're the inspiration.
You're making it sour for him now.
I had a fabulous day today, so you can't bring me down, which makes me think of Electric Light Orchestras. Don't bring me down.
Yeah.
But now I'm really sounding old.
Well, thank you. Mad Monkey?
Yes.
Thank you.
Another super chat. Somebody's gonna tell us to stop singing. Clorox, you didn't drink me. Thank you so much for the super chat. He's like, how do you do cool compositions with people and environments? And also, is it bad to steal poses?
Okay, so doing cool composition with people and environments really comes down to okay, here we go. Whoop.
There goes your eraser.
Is that what that was? All right.
You don't need it, right?
No, I've got another one. I've got a backup. Okay, so I'm going to draw a panel. I'm going to zoom in. Just remind me to zoom back out, Meredith, if you don't mind.
Okay. Zoom back out.
It's really not helpful.
That's what you meant, right?
Yeah.
Right now, you want me to remind you? Right now.
I'm already off the camera here. Oh, this thing. Okay, I'm going to move my panel down. Okay.
It just got in the screen, Dave.
Working on it. All right.
Page.
Okay. Now you're making it harder. Okay, so I've got a panel, and let's say, what should I draw, Meredith?
I don't know.
Okay, so I'm going to draw...
Draw a horse.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so I'm going to draw like let's say a hill, and I've got a path on my hill, you know, and then like maybe another hill up here. And I mean, this is pretty simple because there's no composition, or there's no perspective, but there still kind of is. I'm going to say my horizon line is about here. So if I want a figure in the foreground, I'm going to put them, let's say we'll put them here. And I'm going to imagine that the perspective for him is kind of like this. So here's his leg. Here's his other leg.
I feel like I failed out this week because I didn't pretend to do a face.
Oh, yeah, you didn't. That's true. You really did. Okay, so here's my first guy, and then the other guy is kind of rounding around that hill. And because I've drawn the hill in first and my background's in first, it's pretty easy for me to just place the figures in that environment. And I'm, you know, I know where my perspective is. I know I'm slightly looking down at the scene, and I use some perspective. I could do the same for this guy. I don't really truthfully ever go too crazy with trying to get perspective in. For the most part, I can eyeball it. And what I would say also, don't kill yourself. If you're doing a scene like this where you're not using, like you don't have buildings and everything's organic, then just sketch in your perspective. Don't go crazy with it. But there, I've got two people. They're in an environment. It's actually very easy. If you know how to sketch things well and you are good with your gesture drawing, it makes it really easy just to throw things in. And if you don't like it, just keep working on it until you have something that you're happy with. Now, the other question was, you forgot, didn't you? So did I.
I forgot because...
Is it easy to take poses? Or
swiping poses.
Is it acceptable?
Is it bad? Is it bad to swipe a pose?
Yes and no.
Not when you're learning.
Not when you're learning. You can completely swipe a pose. And when you're... I'm just minimizing...
if you're doing a couple...
Oh, you know what? We're zoomed in here. See, I told you.
Zoom out, Dave.
Thank you, Meredith.
I told you zoom out like 10 minutes ago.
You did. All right. So when you're drawing an actual comic or something to actually be published, it's okay to be inspired by other poses and try sketching some things. Let's say you have, you know, somebody like Superman flying, and, you know, there are some artists that do beautiful shots that way. There is nothing wrong with taking elements of it, sketching it, trying it, and then just making it your own. You don't just, you know, just take a basic gesture of it, change a few things, you know, work it out in your own head too, because when you're drawing, you'll find that you can feel the movement when you act it out yourself. You don't even have to go the whole way, and get a feel for it. And then when you're actually drawing in the detail, obviously you don't want to be looking at the same picture because you will end up swiping. That really would be a swipe. But being influenced by other people's...
No swiping.
Right, thanks. But being influenced by other people's poses and that kind of thing, this is standard for the business. Everyone does it. This is how... And avoiding that and looking at that completely as a bad thing, I think is a real... It's very, very limiting to not do that at all. There you go. There's my answer.
So here we are. Juliana Larson says, hello, I just subscribed.
Oh, thank you so much, Juliana.
And Adam D. Hilton says, good morning, guys from the UK, and thank you very much for taking the time to do these. Been watching religiously since they started, but this is my first live. Had to book a day off work to catch it.
Well,
took a day off work to watch this.
It's a sacrifice. Thank you very much. It's great to have you here live.
And what better night than the night you're drawing Venom?
That's right.
Speaking of which, Kenny Wang wants to know, how do you draw the tongue on top of the teeth without making it look weird?
Okay. So I'm just going to sketch in. Here's my mouth. There's the top teeth. There's the bottom teeth. If I kind of know where they are, and instead of drawing each tooth, I'm just going to draw a shape for them. Well, if I draw the tongue coming out and then erase out, then I can draw teeth in, and it all fits together and everything works, and the tongue's over it, and it's, you know, you have two cohesive forms that actually work together instead of looking like one's just layered on. It really, layering things always just comes down to drawing through, making sure that, and, you know, I'm kind of breaking that rule here just a little bit. I didn't really draw Venom through Spider-Man how I should, but I've been doing this for a long time. So, you know, I cheat here and there. But you know, if I was uncomfortable with Venom's placement and I was feeling like it wasn't really working and I was really struggling, I would draw that through. And I would say that if teeth, that kind of thing, like if that's something that you're finding challenging and it's not really looking like it's sitting properly, draw through and then erase.
Cool. Good advice.
Thank
so I
you
just
very
have to shout out to people with cool names right now, because these are people who I've not seen on the stream before. If you watched before and I just haven't seen you in the chat, thank you for joining us. But Humphrey Bear, that's a cool name. And
Yep.
he says, great art, Finchy. And then
Well, thank you, Humphrey.
La Petite Burp the Cute. That's a crazy name. Thanks for being here. La Petite Burp the Cute. So, if you have a really cool name, I might shout it out. That was a challenge. I don't know if I want to make that challenge.
That seemed to me, I'm gonna have to erase that.
Stop that. Can you erase my challenge? Is that what you're doing?
No, part of my drawing.
Oh dear.
Yeah, you are gonna regret that though.
I probably am, yep. Alan Moda, just ordered the Pentel brush you use. How do you get such good lines from that thing? I would say practice.
Yes, absolutely practice. And I really struggle with it. And so I don't use it for detail. And you see me using it for quite a bit. Like I do actually use it for a decent amount. And it took me a bit to get the level of control and comfort that I have with it. But yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm any kind of an expert. And really the secret to any tool making them work well for you is to work with your hand and not against it. So I just mean, I draw well this way, I can draw a line, but for me to pull lines like this, I can't. It's not possible. I'd have to bring my arm around. So you learn where it's comfortable for you to pull lines, and if you're pulling in ways that are unnatural for your hand, you're gonna end up with very sloppy looking inks. So if you can be aware of that, that makes a big difference right there.
Corey wants to know how's the reading, and I'm assuming Corey's addressing me.
Yes.
So I have ordered the book. I'm waiting for it to arrive.
So basically you still haven't read it. That's what you're saying.
I can't go to the bookstore. I don't think the mall's open right now.
I don't think Corey was here for an excuse.
Everybody's here for the excuse. No, I've ordered the book.
All right. Well, that's good though.
It should be here this week, which
All right.
means I'll be able to tell everybody.
Well, that just means Corey, you have to come back next week.
That's right. I don't want you guys to think I'm stringing you along. But no. Actually, this week I read. I don't know how common it is for people who read, or if this is just the weirdness of being Meredith, but I have books that I still have on my bookshelf and will reread from when I was a teenager. And there are some series I've read like 4 or more times. And this week, while I was waiting for my Brandon Sanderson book to arrive, I went back and reread an old favorite that I really loved. So
What was it?
it's called Blue Sword by Robin McKinley. I don't know that she's like a hugely popular writer, but if anybody has been following me lately, you know I like horses, and this is like a book with a girl and a horse, and so.
Oh, there you go. That's great.
It was fun.
I saw you reading earlier on this week,
Yeah,
so
it was very good. So.
I'm
It's
trying
nice
to
to go
figure
back
out where to
and
put
reread
this
stuff.
too.
My books are my friends. I didn't have friends when I was growing up.
None.
So sad. So sad. And also, just want you to know, Dave, that Mike Stewart says, I think your bit rate is too high. So Mike agrees with Everett.
Really? Okay.
Bit rate's too high. I don't know how to change that, but you probably do.
You know what? I read something about it, and then it's technical, and that stuff just jumps right out of my head. So I kind of
We'll get Everett to fix it for next week.
I'm gonna
We
fix
have
that
super
leg down a
chat
little bit.
from Jeffrey Niffen. Hey, Jeffrey. He wants to know. Thank you for the super chat, first of all, Jeffrey.
Yes,
Jeffrey.
thank you, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey
Thank you very
wants to
much.
know if you prefer the 616 or Ultimate Venom.
616.
What is 616?
616 is the main Marvel universe. That's the
Why is it called 616?
because they in the 80s, I think. Hopefully, I'm not wrong. I don't like that either.
Somebody will correct us. They always do.
So anyway, they did a like a multiverse. It had a name. Gosh. Anyway, so the universe that everybody knows that that everybody reads is the 616 universe. And every once in a while they'll jump to a different universe, and Spider-Man will be like Spider-Ham, Remember Spider-Ham?
Spider-Ham.
Yeah. So actually,
Bryce part of the Spider.
yeah, they kind of played with that with that Spider-Man movie that was animated that was really good. Remember?
Yeah,
you didn't? Did you watch it?
Spider-Verse. Yeah.
I watched that in the theater twice. It was such a good movie. Whoop.
Oh. Art 9 recommended Suicidal Tendencies version of You Can't Bring Me Down.
Huh.
So there you
Give
go.
that. I haven't listened to Suicidal Tendencies in a long time. It's been a long time. Well, I'll have to give it a try. Thank you.
All right, we have another super chat from Michael Johnson Curry. Hey, Michael, good to see you this week.
Yes, thank you, Michael.
Thank you so much for the super chat. Michael wants to know, what are the best ways to distribute a comic online? When I make and post comics, they tend to be ignored due to bigger news cycles or just bigger names.
Meredith?
I'm really thinking, I mean, part of it is developing your own social media following. Part of it is, I think, the way in which you market a comic to distribute it online. So I have found what has worked for me is to make a little video where you splice basically the intention of your comic together with some music and a little bit of a narrative. If you look on, it's what I did for Rose, it's what I did for the Book of Ruth.
Yeah, Elgato.com has all kinds of templates that you can basically just drop your stuff into. You have to use After Effects.
Because I think it's like a commercial.
Yeah.
I think it's an easier way. You want to pick like the greatest, best pages or panels from the, I would say panels, not pages, Michael, from the comic that you're doing. And people are more likely to, I think, share and retweet stuff like that.
Yeah, it stands out.
You want to make it just, you don't want to just plop it out there like, this is my new comic. Because it's a lot for people to invest in reading a comic. But if you give them a little commercial of what your comic's about, with some music and maybe a little narrative, people are more likely to just watch a 30-second clip or a minute clip before and then they might invest in it.
Yeah. And if you don't want to learn After Effects, there's a new website. I
just use QuickTime Movie for mine.
Oh, see, well, okay, I didn't even know that. There you go. And there's a site called Placeit. I think the same people. By the way, it's not like I'm sponsored or something, but Placeit, you can go there. You can find templates for different video projects, that kind of thing, and just plop your own media right in the website itself. So it basically does all the work for you, and then just download the video. It works very well. I haven't done that, but I mean,
the question is being raised is if there will be a tutorial on Tuesday or Wednesday, and the answer to that question is no. Not on Tuesday or Wednesday. I will not allow it to happen. But there's a very good reason why, David.
Okay, well, so I'm going to be doing a tutorial every 2 weeks just because I love doing the tutorials. They are like a breathless, I'm trying to get so much out there. It's very difficult for me to just say, hey, here's one little trick. I really want them to be valuable and useful. And so I'm trying to cram so much into those. And I was saying earlier, I wanted to do something for Udemy. I think I'm going to do something for Skillshare right now. Anyway, I've got my whole thing planned. I wanted to work on that on Tuesday. And then I'll have another YouTube tutorial in 2 weeks. And I keep saying Tuesday because I do them on Tuesday.
Can you tell if you're still streaming?
No. I can. Yep. Okay. And I looked up Robert Malzullo's here. Hi, Robert. Thank you so much for coming. It's great to have you. Always. Thank you. Oh, and Tom McCart's here. But yeah, I just talked to Robert yesterday, 2 days ago. Time flies.
We were talking about, I'm just having problems with, people are complaining about buffering and...
Are they? Well, I'm looking now.
Did you mess with your settings this week?
Nope.
We had a storm today. Maybe your internet is just jacked.
Maybe. Well, hopefully it will.
I have nothing right now.
Really?
You're flying on your own. You're flying solo.
All right. Sketchbook Ninja is here. It's great to see you. Hi, Mike Stewart. I know, I'm sorry, Mike, but I would say, the good news about Skillshare is you can sign up for 2 months for free. So you essentially get it for free anyway. And it's a much longer, more, I'll be able to do assignments, which I think is great, and review what you guys do with it, and break it down into, so it'll be, step 1, the layout process, and step 2, the, so on and so forth. So I'm making a mess.
I just rewound my video a little bit just to try to. All right, here we go. Let me scroll back. I had some we were having technical difficulty. I blame it on the storm. We had a massive storm roll through here this afternoon. So it's all the fault of the thunder and lightning. Yeah. Frozen again. Come on. Scroll back. I can't scroll back anymore. Why can't I scroll back anymore? Alright. I'm as far, but my chat won't even let me scroll back. So I'm gonna scroll forward. To the next super chat, which hopefully I didn't miss one in between, but this one is Gaston Magallanes.
Thank you very much, Gaston.
Thank you so much. And he said, he wants to know, is it possible to only rely on books and magazines to learn anatomy and never take a live figure drawing class? Dave has never taken a live figure drawing class in his life.
Yeah, no.
So the answer to that question is...
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't want to say that I think that they're not useful. I'm sure that they are, I guess. I don't know. I never did it. So, but, for my part, I never wanted to draw people. I never wanted to be a fine artist. I have no regrets about that. It's never, and I looked at, what do I want from my art? Do I want to be representational, and what's going on, Meredith?
I'm sorry. I'm just... I'm sorry. The most unique channel name Meredith has ever seen. That's the person's name. I've changed my channel name just for the stream. So the channel name is literally the most unique channel name Meredith has ever seen.
It's a winner.
Oh, that's the best. Thank you so much. I'm crying right now. Oh. That would have been a shame to miss. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. From now on, their questions get answered top priority. So now, sorry, now I'm already caught up to the Robert Marzullo's here. Hey, Robert, I'm only slightly behind the trend.
So Robert and I, okay, we have something planned coming up very soon, and I don't want to. I didn't say, hey, Robert, I'm just gonna announce it here, so I don't want to just do that. But very, very soon, very, very soon, we're going to be doing a portfolio review stream, which I'm really excited about. So Robert, it's going to be on Robert's channel, and I'm sure he'll have all the details up very soon. He's a phenomenal artist and a phenomenal teacher, and we semi did this before on Jimmy Reyes' channel about 2 months ago, and I just thought it was great, and he had such great input for art, and I thought it would be something that would be valuable for you guys. So
cool. Now back to me, because that's what the stream's all about.
Right.
I just have to say, Dude Power just said he/she, because I don't know, Dude Power, I'm assuming it's a guy.
It's a safe assumption. I
think it's safe. Has been reading Rose lately and enjoying it very much. So thank you so much for reading Rose, Dude Power.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, thank you.
I had so much fun doing that book, and if you like great artwork, you should pick up Rose, not to toot my horn, but to toot Iguar's horn.
Yeah.
Because that guy is a freaking phenomenal artist. And so is Trina Farrell, who I was lucky to have do the colors on it. So
Yeah, they were a phenomenal team.
Yeah, truly was so blessed to be able to work with such incredible talents.
Absolutely.
Dragon12 wants to know if you can do Conan in one of your live streams.
Oh, that is a good idea.
That's a great idea.
I love drawing Conan. You know, I'm just going to say yes right now.
We don't know when.
But it's coming.
But
I'll do it for sure. I can't say no to that.
Well, I will put it in the hat.
All right. I think Dragon already did. He beat you to it.
He did. It's true. I need another question from the coolest name that Meredith has never seen. All right. By the way, the stream is clear now, apparently.
Okay, great. That's good.
Paul 4, the drawing is looking amazing. I'm a huge fan of you. I'm 11 and have been drawing for a while now. I would love to be a comic artist like you. Do you have any advice for beginners?
Well, thank you very much.
Paul, for drawing. And
yes.
Being only 11 and drawing for a while, that's motivation and determination.
Yes, absolutely. My best advice that I would have for beginners is to start with, you want to keep it fun and, you know, devote some time when you're drawing to just drawing characters that you love and enjoy and have fun with it. But in terms of learning, you really want to learn your foundational stuff first. So your figures are all everything, really, not just figures, but especially comics are so figure oriented that you really want to work on just basic shapes and reducing your bodies down to the most basic forms that you can, and getting really good at drawing very quickly and very easily figures in different positions. What you don't want is to get caught in a place where you can draw somebody standing there and they look cool, but you can't even turn them around, or you can't angle them towards you, or you want your characters to have a lot of movement. And the only way to really get that is to get very comfortable with the underlying forms. So I would say that is the best place to start.
All right. Simeon Bassett has a question. Mr. Finch, I am currently drawing Miles Morales' Spider-Man, and I'm not sure how to approach drawing his shoes. Do you have any tips? Remember what his shoes look like?
I think they're like sneakers.
Yeah, they are. Like open, barely tied, high tops.
That is a good question. I've had to draw shoes like that before. Wow. How would I say how to do that?
You would use reference.
Yeah. Now, I've got like a formula for drawing laces. I actually got it from Travis Trest years ago. He was drawing Wildcats, and he did some really cool stuff like that. And I have been drawing it that way ever since. This is why you can really tell the era of an artist, because you pick up things and you just roll with them the rest of your career. And
do you remember when I had to tell you to stop drawing underwear the way you were drawing them?
I remember. Yes. Yeah, it's very easy. It's very easy to learn how to do something one way and then never change it. And yeah, I was drawing clothing in a very out of fashion way.
That's why you have a wife.
Yeah.
All right, super chat from Daniel. Thank you so much, Daniel Castelli.
Yes, thank you very much, Daniel.
He just wanted to say to Gaston that I've done life drawing for 20 years, and it's more about gesture and lighting and not for learning anatomy.
Well, there you go.
Well, that's a great tip about life drawing, because you've never done life drawing, but I know people do it. So thank you so much for sharing that tip.
I know the Disney animators, and I'm sure they probably do to this day, but I read that they would devote...
They have life drawing classes, right?
Yes, and they would devote a day of their work week to doing it. And this is why, you'd have these older artists that would just be incredible because, that many years of study. And most of us comic artists, we tend to get a little lazy. You learn how to do something one way and then you don't move on. Yeah. And you don't keep growing that. And so I really do try for sure to not neglect that kind of thing. But it's so easy because you hit a deadline, the work's got to be done. And it's difficult to say, you know what, I'm going to just stop and work on myself a little bit.
Yeah, but it's important.
It sure is.
We have another super chat, Dave, from King Everett.
Good thank you, King Everett. Yeah, absolutely. Good to see you again.
He wants to know how you get the connection look in muscles.
The connection look. Okay, I'm going to make an assumption here on what you mean. Hold on. Okay. So here's like my forearm, and I'm going to draw my anatomy in there. Give it a hand. Okay. And so what you're drawing these are your muscle shapes, and they all interconnect. And so I'm going to draw a shadow on this one, and then connect with the shadow on this one, and then a shadow on this one. And if I have another one here, these can connect like this. They all interconnect. And so they don't just fire off into nowhere. You really want them. And so all these, the way that I'm going to draw them is make sure to connect them. So this one kind of wraps over just a little bit. And I really like, I drew this kind of a shape as opposed to just a flat shape because it just looks a little bit, gives it a little bit of edge, which I really like. And, you know, I've been getting a lot of how do you draw forearms? And that's something I'm certainly going to cover, but so much of it is looking at Frank Frazetta and taking stuff from him over the years, but also it's really just making sure my shapes are really have some hard edge dynamic kind of shape to them, as opposed to just being, you know, here's a shape and it's going to be the same size as this shape and the same size as this shape. If every muscle is around the same size, around the same thickness, evenly spaced, it starts to look really boring. And look at this, I've got evenly spaced lines because I'm sitting here drawing. So I just added that one there. That's not even muscle. I don't even know. Doesn't matter. The point is I put it in there just to break it up a little bit so I don't have something that looks too even. I've got like a bit of a bone connection here. I'm gonna go thicker toward the bottom. It's further away from the light. Let's say this muscle kind of connects in here. I don't want to define that too much because I'm kind of coming toward the light, so I'll just give it just a little bit. Maybe I'll give another muscle here. I don't even know. Does a muscle go there? Probably not, but that's not the point. I remember Mark Silvestri telling me early on, you know, because I was trying to make my anatomy so correct all the time. He was saying, don't worry about making it correct. You want to just, you want it to look good, and correct is important so it has a realistic and a believable look, but you don't want to be slavish to it to the point where things end up looking stiff. So that's really how I do it. In a very quick, I'm going to cover this better, but I have to be honest, in a lot of ways.
Skillshare course.
Sure, right. But
always schlepping. Yeah.
Here's the thing, and here's me, you know, crushing my Skillshare course, if that's what I end up doing. It's a tough one to explain because, you know, it's a real tacit knowledge kind of a thing, and so much of it's just picking up, I really like how this artist, you know, made this form turn, and then I just copy that kind of a shape all over and use it where it works. And then if it doesn't work somewhere, you know, so much of it's experience and just trying different things, and you need to know where your light's coming from, but making your shapes look believable and organic. It's so much like drawing stone or any kind of, or like trees, you know, you want to have, you want things to vary in size and shape, and it makes it look much more interesting and organic than if everything is just really plotted out, which is why like anatomy diagram type of stuff is great. You need to learn where all of it goes, but I don't think it's actually useful for like a day-to-day, for making your work look believable and alive. And it's a total fake kind of alive too. Like I'm not looking at reference and then saying I want, this is going to take so much cleanup. I said this last week. This one's worse.
Maybe you should use more pencil.
I don't know. It's the nature of the picture. That's all.
Yeah. It's Venom. He's gritty.
He's
all
pretty.
Right. Here's a question for you from Brain Games. If you get to keep the hard copies of your drawing or comic pages, can you use them as you please for your own promotional stuff or books? Can you post them online without issue?
You can post them online without issue. You can use them after they've been published and you have permission to show them, or after they've been solicited, or even before solicitation if you have permission. It's fine. You just have to have permission. You can use them. You could actually do like a sketchbook and you can put them in there, but you actually need to make sure that you have permission. If you don't have permission, you will get stopped. So probably not. These companies, Marvel and DC, they're big companies. The thing is, they have licensing agreements, and licensing, and I think it's actually a bigger money generator than the actual comics themselves, and they need to protect their licensees. So if somebody does bed sheets, and they put Spider-Man on them, they want to make sure that they've paid for that license. It cost them a lot of money. I have no idea how much. I've never done licensing, but they pay for it, and that has a monetary value. And if you were as the artist to say, what, I want to do bed sheets and just do your own, well, you're competing with a person that's paid good money to have that privilege, and they will not take that well. So this should be shadowed. I hate shadowing so much. That's one thing about characters like Venom. I want to show all that anatomy and all that muscle.
Oh my gosh, sometimes I think you've read my mind, because you perfectly segue into the question I'm going to ask, which is, in order to draw a black surface or a black character like Venom, do you just make the core shadows bigger?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Okay, so
so great.
There are two things that I do. Okay, so I'm going to draw, here's like a shape, and I'm going to draw a shadow on it. And now if I want to make it look really dark, because I've got my light coming from here, if I want to make it look really dark, I'm going to make the shadow thicker. So yes, absolutely. But then I don't have I have the shadow, I should draw my arrow more accurately. It's coming in like this. So it's not behind the thing. So I would actually put a shadow on the other side of it too, because the light is much more narrow and focused. And so that's how you make something look dark. And then you just mix that over the whole picture. And that's really all there is to it. I mean, you could go on and there's whatever, more complexity, I'm sure. But I have such a bad tangent right here. This is like a disaster in a few levels. It's going to take some work. So what I did here, I had his tongue completely lining up with his symbol below it, which is a tangent and looks terrible. And, tangents you want to avoid them, but ideally if you see that you've done it, well, just make sure to not leave it. And so, yeah, in a lot of ways, like this Venom, he's going to be a lot of fun, and, he's got some cool stuff going on, but it's dark in a way that I wouldn't do with a character. And I'm blocking in my shadow. Now I'm making excuses, Meredith.
Yeah, like I've never heard those before.
Yeah.
Did you get your page done today, Dave? Well,
I found really good reference.
Yeah, exactly. Atomic Art says, Dave, which Spider-Man universe is your favorite? And by the way, love the drawing. You're going to be my favorite artist until the end of time.
Oh, thank you so much, Atomic. And what was the question?
Which Spider-Man universe is your favorite?
Oh, well, right now, Miles Morales, because of the show, because of the movie, is my favorite. But it always changes, I love just classic, regular Spider-Man, of course. But, to be honest, I think my favorite Spider-Man is Ultimate Spider-Man because of Bendis. But then he wrote, Miles Morales too. So, again, I love the Bendis and Mark Bagley run. I thought that was incredible.
Behind my super chats. So I have to say, One Mighty R, thank you for the super chat. He says, hello, Finch fam.
Hi, One Mighty R. Thank you so much again.
See you this week. And then Danielle Castelli has another super chat question. As a freelancer, do you face stress between jobs? David, never. Because David always has a job at this point. He is so established as an artist although he does sometimes stress comics are gonna disappear as a medium for him to work in, but he never faces stress as in what because you're always under contract.
Yeah, I have stressed about that my whole career. Like, what if this? What if that? It's just my nature. My dad was an engineer. He worked for Chrysler, and he worked there up until his retirement, and everything went fine. He spent his whole career, oh no, so that's where I got it from. It's just a worrier, and so am I.
But I think I sometimes have stressed out more than you have. Actually, to the point where I was retired from comics.
Yep.
I told people at New York Comic Con last year that I was retiring. I told people in Chicago this spring that I was retiring from comics.
It's true, yeah.
I was in my mind fully convinced that I
you
was
were just
retiring
done
from comics, and that it was no longer a medium or a place in which I was able to do what I wanted to do, and then maybe I would just write a book. And it wasn't, I mean, what are we, it's July now, so maybe 2 months later that a company approached me, and I've now, a comic company, and now I'm working with them. I can't give details.
Still.
Well, I could, but like the contract signed, but we want to make a big announcement when it's time to make a big announcement. But
fair enough.
But so now, I think suffice it to say, yes, I faced a lot of stress between jobs as a freelancer, especially after Wonder Woman. I felt like I couldn't get hired to save my life. But that was a really good thing, because that's when I started working on Rose. I was like, well, if nobody will hire me, then I'll just do my own story.
Yeah, that was, the thing about Wonder Woman is there was a perception, even though, it was a lot of pitching to get that job, and it wasn't the easiest thing, that you just got that.
Yeah.
And
I still had to prove myself.
Yes. And so, yeah, it made things tough for a bit. Yeah. But it makes you stronger.
That's right. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Kelly Clarkson. I won't inflict any more of my singing on you. But it's going to be song night tonight. Like, one night. I'm just throwing out, how many song references have I thrown out already? All right. Jake Carlson, thank you so much for your super chat.
Thank you very much, Jake.
Jake wants to know, how can I submit my work for the portfolio review you talked about? Did you talk about a portfolio review?
I did with...
I'm upstairs kicking kids off internet when you did that.
I'm going to be doing it with Robert Marzullo this week.
Okay.
And what I would say is contact Robert. He'll have all the details.
Dave's passing the buck.
I am passing the buck. I'm totally passing the buck.
You're totally passing.
But you know what? We're doing it on Robert's channel. So...
Yeah, fair enough. Robert, it's your responsibility now. It's all on you, Robert.
Sorry.
He's not sorry. Sorry. What he means to say is sorry, not sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You say that all the time. All right, and Corey Adams has a super chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much,
chat,
Corey. I appreciate it very much.
He says, off topic, but what's your favorite type of music? This is such a funny question, because we get together with friends of ours fairly often. I would say once a week to play cards, euchre, and part of our card playing is that we have set a little Bluetooth speaker, and we go around the table, and everybody gets a song choice. So, you alternate song choices, and you have a very eclectic. You pull songs out sometimes, Dave. I'm like, I didn't even know the name of that song. Or
yeah,
that song existed. But
my favorite type of music is heavy metal, by far and away. I can't play that when we play euchre because everybody gets upset. And
it's true.
So, I pick other things that I like, and I like a lot of different things. Probably my most commonly picked song, though, is Horse with No Name, to give you an idea where I'm coming from.
I was going to say Sister, is it Sister Golden Hair?
Oh, yeah, or whatever.
I always say Sister Golden Eyes now, because that's what I say about the dog.
I think
she looks at me with her tawny brown eyes.
Right.
Because you make that request, that song so often, I call her Sister Golden Eyes now. Yeah,
well, and part of the problem is I'm terrible at euchre or anything to do with any kind of math or whatever. And so I'm just trying not to renege. And then my song comes up. I'm like, oh, I don't have time to think of a song right now. So I just throw out the same song. That I like...
Charm City, you like Johnny Cash's...
Johnny Cash. Charm City Devils did a cover of... I can't remember.
God's Gonna Cut You Down.
That's right.
Oh, it's such a good song.
Isn't it?
Oh, yeah. The Johnny Cash version is so good.
Neil Young, I like. Anyway, a lot of 70s stuff, It's like easy listening elevator music, and I like it.
No, that's not elevator music. That's not music.
Okay, well, Johnny Cash sure isn't.
All right, everybody's got to listen to God's Gonna Cut You Down by next week. All right. We have a super chat question from Jeffrey Niffin now.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey wants to know how to draw neck muscles and make it look good.
You know, that is... I'm going to tell you right now, Jeffrey, that is a tougher question than I could easily answer now, unfortunately. What I would say is, and I understand the question because there's the anatomical way to do it, and then there's making it look really good and believable. And I wish I knew a way to just like quickly, like I could draw a neck, but I don't know how informative that would really be. You know what, Jeffrey? I really apologize. I will do something on this very soon. Maybe my next tutorial for YouTube, which will be in just about a week and a half, will be on textures. And I will tell you right now, I'll do the next one. I'll do it on necks. I think that's a really good thing to cover. Probably maybe a more limited viewership. Some of them, I found some have a broader interest just in terms of the topic than others. As I scribble in this thing, it's such a mess. You know what though? It's okay that this is a mess because this is my brush stage. I say this every week. It's tough because you guys are all watching, you know. If I was like just doing this on my own, I'd be like, whatever, you know. But when you have people watching, you want it to not look. All the time. That's right.
As long as it looks good in the end. Speaking of which, looking good. Comic Art says, "I'm very grateful for your lessons. I'm a diabetic kid who struggles a lot, so I do art to make me happy. And without you, I wouldn't be as good as I am today."
Well, that is really great to hear. I think art can be such a therapeutic thing, physically and mentally. It just, being in a good place. If you're struggling with anything, if it's, if it's depression or if it's, an actual illness, I think something like art, putting your head into something positive and creative, you can't beat that. And I'm so glad that you're being positive and and finding something that you really enjoy, and I'm really glad that I'm able to be a part of that.
I just saw King Everett said I missed a super chat, but I think I went back and got his super chat, so we had a super chat from King Everett.
Well, if we missed it, if you wouldn't mind, King Everett, if you wouldn't mind just putting it back in, not a super chat then,
just bold, but some people bold my name. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, but yeah, apologies if we missed something, for sure.
Because I'm pretty far back. I go back. Here's the thing. People's questions are always like really front loaded. And by the time we get to like 10 o'clock tonight,
there'll be no questions?
There'll be less questions, and I'm scrambling to come up with questions. So I like to start I know I'm way behind. I know I'm behind in the questions, but I like to go back.
It's a strategy.
It's a strategy so that I actually am able to hit more questions from more people.
Well, there you go.
I do think we just got another super chat though, so I gotta... yes, from Jordan Seward.
Hey, thank you, Jordan.
Y'all think augmented reality be good for comics?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be great. You start to get into budget, and expertise. Somebody that could draw a good comic is not necessarily going to be, there would be people that can, I'm sure, but it's a technical kind of a thing. So it would limit the amount of people that could do it. But, if there's a company that, I'd love to see that do well. I'll say this: I see comic-like things. Like I'm playing Ghost of every week. Ghost of Tsushima. Well, now I'm actually playing it. It's phenomenal, and they have stuff that it's kind of comic art-ish, but it's incredible, beautiful stuff, and it's all motion animated. And I'd love to see stuff like that for comics. But obviously, it's comics, it tends to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 person job, and once you start getting into that stuff, you're talking budget. And what I love about comics is just its approachability. It's something that anybody can do. You don't need a team of people. You don't there's nothing to stop you from doing it. You can do it right now. If it's something that interests you, then, and you're not doing it, then you should be, because there's no barriers. But, maybe from a Marvel and DC standpoint, some of the bigger companies that have the resources, I would love to see them do it. That'd be great.
And I have to apologize to Jordan, because apparently I'm not cool when I say, your question sounded cool in my head, but my expression of your question, not so much. which may be why Isaac keeps calling me a boomer. Not, and I want to make this clear, I am not a boomer. I am fully Generation X, but apparently this is the new term for an old person.
Yes.
So, not only, thank you, Jordan, for exposing my lack of coolness with your cool question.
What was the cool question?
It was, y'all think augmented reality be good for comics?
Oh, and so what did you get wrong?
I just did not read it with any kind of flow.
Okay.
I'm a boomer.
Because you don't know what augmented reality is.
I'm a boomer. No, just because I can't speak like that, because I'm not cool.
Okay, fair enough.
Not cool.
I mean,
my kids will agree. I'm not.
We would all agree.
If Everett was down here reading that question, he'd be like, "Man," and that thing would have tripped off his tongue.
My favorite would have been
Fred Astaire.
My favorite would have been you trying to answer that question.
I could extrapolate what augmented reality would be.
Everybody would know.
So there you go. Or they'd know how truly not cool I am.
That's what I'm saying.
The heck with you. Nico Gamboa has a super chat question. We're going to move on to Nico's super chat question. Thank you so much, Nico, for your super chat question.
Thank you very much, Nico.
Bailing me out. He says, "Hi, Dave. Starting my morning with your stream and drawing as well. How would you maintain a consistent style and quality throughout panels and pages?"
Well, you'll find the more you do, the more your consistent style and quality is actually a bonus and a bit of a limitation. You'll end up with, this is the way you draw this kind of panel, and you just do it the same way over and over, and that's going to be a style that's consistent, but it also can get old. So I think it happens naturally. If it's not consistent, then that's just an experience issue, which you will naturally get over. Drawing a lot of comics, and you want to be careful. It's very easy to do things that are stylistically very odd. And I say this as a huge fan of Sam Keith, who did incredibly odd stuff. So there are exceptions to every rule, of course. But and Sam Keith, though, as odd as it was, the characters still felt like the characters. Sam Keith he really is. There's no one ever been in comics like him, and who knows when somebody like that will ever come along again. But I forgot what I was. I've completely fallen off track. Right, I was saying.
Maintaining.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you're not doing things that are really odd and just strange, and be aware of that. But then, you can bring in different influences. Let's say you really like a particular artist and the way they approach something. Well, go with it and try it, and it will blow your art up if you really jump in, which I recommend that you do. If you like something, really go for it. Just try it. And it will make your life miserable for a little bit until you actually are able to incorporate that into your work. But once you do, you will have work that is stronger than it was before, because you'll have brought in the strengths of another artist as much as you were able to take in, which is how, for me, I have a limitation in what I'm able to take in from artists, unfortunately. So, I would love to just be able to draw like Travis Trest, and I would have made a career out of that if I could have pulled it off. I couldn't. So I do a cheapo Travis Trest, the best that I could do, but it worked for me because I don't just have Travis Trest. I've also got Adam Kubert, and I've got Mark Silvestri and Jim Lee and Arthur Adams, Alan Davis. I could go on and on. Actually, my book of the week, maybe we should do that now.
Let's do that,
because this is a big one for me.
We need music done. Yeah. Even has it ready to go.
I've got it ready to go. What we need is production quality.
We do.
And the problem is, because I'm knocking my microphone. Speaking of production quality, because I'm drawing and running the stream, it's very difficult. I just can't do production quality. All right.
I can only do so much.
You're doing great.
I'm here.
Nobody's complaining.
Yeah, you are. I heard where you were going.
That's what I was saying.
I know that.
So what this is X-Men Bishop, The Mountjoy Crisis, a book that I talk about quite a bit. It's by Carlos Pacheco, who Carlos Pacheco is still working in the business. He is a phenomenal artist. This is actually an early book from him. I still love this book to this day. This is my second copy. I had one signed by him, and I lent it to someone. I never saw it again. I had to buy it again. I've got a couple copies now. Unfortunately, they're not signed.
They're signed.
But at least I've got it. Anyway, and so every page of this is incredible, but I kind of dog-eared a couple of pages to show you. Take a look at that hand. Look at that hand. Look at this stuff. And I have stolen these hands. You know, where do you get your hands? This stuff is absolutely amazing. And yeah, I highly, highly recommend this book. I highly recommend all of his work. And I've got another book that I want to show you in just a second. But this book really, for me, is, and his panel layout is so incredibly dynamic.
It's not book of the week, it's books.
Books, yeah, well, this time, because, you know, he's just got so much work. I mean, look at this.
It was last week, too.
It was, yeah, it seems to end up being. There's another page that, let me undog-ear the pages. I trash all my books this way. This hand here, I'm going to tell you right now, I've stolen that hand many times. And I probably shouldn't be showing you this, but there it is. And this one's like just outrageously good hands. They're beautiful. This one here, you know, there's so much great stuff in here. I'd say, you know, if you can find this book or his X-Men work, he did some X-Men stuff, give it a try. Sketch some of these things, because you can look at your own hand, but it is not going to look like that. And that is just so incredibly dynamic and cool looking. Anyway, so Carlos Pacheco, this is Avengers Forever, also by Carlos Pacheco. And every page of this book is outrageous. So I'm going to show you. Here's a double page spread that I also dog-eared just to, and really the whole book is like that. Now this one is, you know, it's a double page spread, so I thought it'd be a cool picture just to show. But I'm just going to flip to the next page back. Look at this. And all these figures are just so outrageously dynamic, and they have so much movement, and it's beautiful, beautiful stuff. So anyway, this is my book of the week. If you want to draw dynamic figures,
it's really artist of the week.
There you go. It's my artist of the week. If you want to draw dynamic figures, and that's something that you're really trying to work on, and you're looking for something to, you know, let's say, hey, I want to, you know, look at somebody to try and do some gesture sketches and pick something up from it. Carlos Pacheco. This is Avengers Forever. Highly recommend it. Bishop Mountjoy Crisis. His X-Men work. I think he did some Fantastic Four.
All right.
Anyway, there you go. Book of the week.
Good stuff.
All right.
Moving right along to our next super chat question, which is very important, from Sheldon Martin.
Thank you very much, Sheldon.
Sheldon would like to know, do either one of us drink pop, and do we call it pop?
I called it pop my whole life.
We are not American.
We're not American. My son calls it.
Very American.
It is, but Isaac, our son, calls it soda because he watches too much YouTube.
Yes.
And so lately, I find myself calling it soda. And I lived in the States for 6 years, and
pop.
But it's pop.
It's pop. You live in Canada. It's pop. It's a couch. It's a toque. I don't know. It's out. That's all I got right now.
There are other things, I'm sure.
I personally don't drink pop on a regular basis at all. It's like a special treat for me. But Dave drinks diet. We didn't even answer the question. Yes, Dave drinks pop all the time. And
if you want to know if you're out of shape, if you drink diet pop, it's highly likely.
Because Dave drinks diet pop.
I know. I'm like, and I've been trying to be better. I've been drinking actually a lot more water.
Thanks to Robert Marzullo.
Yeah, actually, you know.
Robert?
Yeah, he was giving me a hard time about that. And
he drinks way too much diet pop.
Way too much. It's bad for your teeth.
And then you let our kid drink diet pop. Something that I just like strongly. Because I would rather the kid just had straight up sugar pop.
I know.
Diet pop's bad for you.
It is.
It messes with your metabolism. But the answer is I do drink pop occasionally. But I like Coke. Okay,
I'm going to zoom in a little bit, as much as I'm reluctant to do it because this is such a disaster.
Is this because of the pop and I was complaining about your soda?
No, it's because I'm rendering and I just thought it'd be a good idea to come in a little bit.
I said that you were drinking.
All right.
I got on my diet soda kick.
So here we are in stage 2 for me rendering, and this is, I get most of it in this way, but it still can be a little messier than what I finally end up with, and it depends on the pen. And this one is giving me, I don't know what it is. These are my favorite. This is a Tombow. But sometimes I don't know what happens with them. I'll try this one. Yeah, see, I'm getting a finer line out of this for whatever reason. And this is a zebra. They're a bit cheaper, I think. Maybe the same price. Anyway.
Now I feel bad. Kevin Ford has a super chat, and his first super chat is to say he's sorry for the normal name. First of all, Kevin, thank you so much for your super chat.
Yes, thank you very much.
And I have a cousin named Kevin, so, you know, Kevin is a great name.
Yeah.
There's no pressure to have a cool name. I still will read your questions.
Kevin's a good name.
Kevin is an awesome.
Ford's a good name. I have a Ford. I have a pickup truck.
We have Ford running our province, so...
There we go. We do. It's true.
Anyway,
now, that could be, you know, debatable whether you're happy about that or not.
We digress. Kevin says, I'm not a professional, but still love these videos to learn and enjoy comics. Thank you both for your time.
Well,
Aww,
thank you
so
very much.
Kevin.
I have to say, I watch, we had Walden Wong on last week, and I've watched Walden's stuff. He's an inker. He's phenomenal. He's got a YouTube, so I highly recommend you check it out. I've watched a bunch of his stuff just to try and figure out, because I've been inking more, and find some tools and some techniques. And but then there are also things that I'll watch that I will never do in a million years. And it's just fun to watch somebody, you know, create something. So
we have another super chat from Daniel Castelli.
thank you so much again, Daniel.
Daniel says, totally taking credit for the BOTW segment, which... Oh my gosh, I'm the worst with those.
What is a BOT?
BOTW, what is it? Book of the week, yes,
Oh.
that's what it is. Oh
Neither of us knew.
I really am a boomer. I am a boomer.
Yeah, well.
I'm not even a boomer, but I am, but yes.
Both
Daniel,
of us.
It was his suggestion, so you totally take credit for it. Book/artist of the week.
The original one, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is his original suggestion.
Well, thank you, Daniel.
There you go.
Yeah, that's...
People are loving it.
Yeah, I love doing
Always
it.
do it 1 hour in.
Is that when we did it?
Yeah, roughly.
Has it already been an hour?
It's 9:06 currently.
All right.
All right. Again, because he has the most unique channel name Meredith has ever seen. Did you get that?
Yeah,
I'm currently working in my portfolio, and I'm worried I won't have as many angles that editors will want to see. Are there any mistakes I can avoid when it comes to angles and panels? See, it was a good question. It's because he has my name in his name.
you know, I would say you want things to be as readable as possible. I would really recommend, if you're doing samples, to keep your panels you want to keep them rectangular or square, or just simple though, and don't get too designy with it. That's something you can do. I find it's less popular right now than it was, and I think a large part of that is just because writers have so much taken over the business, and they are very concerned about making sure their story comes across as well as possible. And it's possible to really do great storytelling, popping things in and out of panels. I mean, Joe Quesada is such a master storyteller, and he does that beautifully, but it's also, it really opens up a possibility of making a mess. So I would say for samples, avoid that. And then, yeah, you want to think in terms of, for an establishing shot, looking down at a scene can really work, because it establishes the characters where they are in their setting, you know, and it can be a little more interesting than just pulling the camera back. If you want a character to look really angry and they're really intense, well, you might want to bring the camera low and look up at them, and it makes them look much more imposing. So think in terms of that kind of a sense when you're designing your shots, and don't make them all just static. And then the other thing that's very, very important is just making sure to vary the sizes of things in panels. So if you've got an extreme close-up that's really big, then you want to have a couple little small figures, and maybe, you know, something that's medium sized, so you don't just have, and this is something Todd McFarlane said years ago, and something, you don't want every panel to look like it's just a postage stamp, and the figures are the same size in every panel. Vary it up. It's much more visually interesting.
So I have to say, it sounds like we're still having some stream problems, which
Okay.
I apologize for everybody. It really could be the storms. Like, I think internet across, you know.
And if it is a bitrate issue, and that really
Just rewind a little bit and just be behind the stream a little bit.
Yeah, and what I'm going to do for next week, because
he will ask our 16-year-old son for assistance.
And yeah, if my
bitrate
bitrate is too high and it's causing issues, then I'll make sure that it's fixed for next week. And usually it hasn't been, but it has been, you know, enough that, yeah, I'm going to need to trying to look into it. So we will.
Yes, Okay, we got another super chat question from Nick Lenz. Thank you so much, Nick.
Yes, thank you very much, Nick.
Nick wants to know the best book you've worked on besides Wonder Woman with your wife. I added the with your wife part.
Did you? Okay.
So the best book you've worked on besides Wonder Woman.
All in all, the best.
That's for me.
Yeah. All in all, the best book I've worked on, I'm gonna have to say, would be Batman with Tom King. Just in terms of a writer, just giving me the coolest stuff to draw and being incredibly gracious and respectful of what I like doing, and finding a way also, which is so important to me, to mix that into a great story that really worked for him. He's such a great writer, and he has such a mastery of storytelling that he can create a good story out of anything. And this was a big project for him because he had just done a Vision story that was getting him Eisner Awards and doing really well. But it wasn't a big seller because it's not really the kind of book that sells huge numbers, certainly on initial release. And Batman was a much bigger kind of a book, and so it was, I'm sure, a very stressful time for him. And to be so willing to let me be a part of it creatively the way that he did, it was great.
And Nick had another super chat. Oh no, I got another one. Another super chat from Nick Lobedo.
Thank you so much again, Nick.
So thank you so much, Nick, for the super chat.
Thank you, Nick.
And
thank you very much.
Lenz had another super chat comment. Thank you so much, Nick, because he says, Meredith, you are an amazing writer. Aw, thank you.
Well, very nice of you, Nick.
Just to answer that question of my favorite book that I've worked on aside from Wonder Woman, because I love working on Wonder Woman, but I also really love working on my own characters. There's something...
So which one would you pick? If you had to, right now, you have to do another installment of something. You would do Rose, right? Maybe not even your favorite project, all in all. Like, I'm not going to say that, but it'd be the easiest to...
I don't know. I think it would come up with a new one. I just love
creating. But see, that wasn't the question.
I know. But I would come up with something new. I love creating. I love exploring new characters. And every time I do, it's because I have something new that I want to, like, investigate and explore. And
all right, that was a cop-out, but fine.
I would work on Wonder Woman again if I got asked.
All right, there you go.
I would do one. I would also do Rose again.
Yeah.
Only if Egg and Triona were available, though.
Oh, yeah.
I would not do it without them.
They've made that book theirs.
Yeah, I mean, please. I was just along for the ride on that one at that point. I was just putting stuff to make pretty art. So, Michael, no, come on, I did put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah, you did.
I undermine myself so much. I'm terrible. Thank you, Nick. Thank you for building me up. You're awesome, Nick. Michael Irvin has a super chat question too, or comment. He says, "Hello, thank you, Michael, for the super chat. Hello, Finches. Any tips on studying Bridgman? Thank you."
Well, the way I did it is I didn't read a word of it, truthfully, and I've actually had somebody kind of, I don't want to say call me out, but I feel like I got a little exposed because he was asking me about a concept that was in the book, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about because I just drew the pictures, man. I don't know, but the way I did it, I got this from Kyle Hotz, who is a phenomenal artist. He's done work for Marvel and DC and a lot of different companies. He's great. He said to just draw every picture in the book, and don't think about it. I mean, think about it, but don't get lazy with it. Just take the commitment and draw every picture in there, and then when you're done, draw every picture in the book again with the look at the picture, look at what you're going to draw, close the book and draw it from memory, and do the entire book like that again, and you will be a better artist coming out of there, and it will influence your sensibility, the way that you move the line, the way that you interpret forms. That is, to me, is how you study Bridgman. He's not even so much an anatomical, I mean, it's anatomical and you'll learn a whole lot, really, but it's not. There are places where you'll need to augment what you get from Bridgman, for sure. But that's how you study him, and that's why he's so useful. He just has such a great sense of form and space and making things, like breaking things down in a really, really dynamic, hard, kind of structured way that I think really translates well for comics.
Ricky the Green Man's going to bed, and I'm pretty sure Ricky the Green Man asked about the puppy. So I have to say, hopefully before I catch him before he heads out. Ricky, the puppy is doing great. I posted pictures on my Facebook page, so if anybody wants to know what the puppy looks like, you can check out my Facebook page. He's almost house trained. He had 2 days where he didn't pee in the house at all, and then today I think there was a little accident. But with all the storms, you can hardly fault him. I mean, it was intense for the kids, let alone a little baby puppy. So.
Yeah, he's doing great.
But yeah, he's doing great. He's super adorable. All right, next super chat question from Brandon Spence.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you so much for the super chat, Brandon. Brandon says, "Hey Meredith and Dave, I have an equestrian friend whose friend's horse passed away recently. Oh, and I was hoping I could pick your brain for composition since it involves God, art, and horses. Thanks." First of all, I'm so sorry for the friend who lost their horse. I don't know if people know, but horses can live into their 30s. So when you think about losing a dog or a cat who's been with you 10 or 20 years, your horse can be with you upwards of 30 years. So you really, a good third or more of your life sometimes, you can have this animal with you. So it can be a very distressing time. So I'm so sorry for the loss of your friend's horse. And I would say, I think it's Charlie McKay. He does these line art prints.
Oh yeah, we got 2 of them upstairs.
We do. Yeah. We got 3 of them actually.
Yeah, they're very cool.
Of a boy and a horse, and I think there's like a fox, and they always has these little comments about fear, and they're just black and white line art. I would check them out for inspiration, because he has some beautiful composition work, but it's also very simple, and the quotes are very thoughtful and meaningful depending on the times of your life. So check him out.
That is a great suggestion, Meredith.
Thank you. I love his artwork, and I got the prints that we got because I felt they were very uplifting and special. So.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
So, SCS Powerlifting also gave us a super chat.
Thank you very much again, SCS.
And he said, "Do you ever have a hard time with placement on a sketch? I spent an hour the other night just roughing my sketch before I got it right. LOL. You spent all morning laying out stuff, so."
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. It could be a challenge. And a lot of it, I just get in my own head and I start getting, hung up on wanting to make the best picture I can possibly make. And I've had times, my first Batman cover that I did for DC was the Batman 700 cover. It's got Batman, he's got his cape cut. It's actually on my YouTube channel. It's my little, picture where my name is. Like if you subscribe. Anyway, that one, I've seen that thing everywhere. Like it's done really well. It seemed like it went over well, and that's great. I spent so long on that thing. I probably spent 2 days just laying out. I actually drew half the cover. I didn't like it. I stopped. I started again. Normally when I do that, I end up with something that's awful. Like it totally falls apart because I'm just in my head. It's not a good way to go, But for that one, I felt like it worked. So, it was just so important to get that one right. And I love Batman. He's such a natural character for me to draw. But I'll tell you, you get your first chance to draw Batman for DC Comics, and it was my own Batman comic. I was writing and drawing it, and I was feeling. Well, actually, that one wasn't. But I was writing and drawing my own Batman comic, and this one actually was for a book I think by Grant Morrison. So there's that too. Yeah. Anyway.
We have another super chat from Danielle Castelli again. Thank you so much,
Daniel. Thank you again.
He says, Meredith, Marcus Luttrell, the famous Navy SEAL and author of Lone Survivor, said Gen X is the best generation and should be named the X-Men. Yeah, We are Generation X-Men. I love it.
I'm not going to roll my eyes because it was a Navy SEAL.
That's right. So there you go. We are the Generation X-Men. Although, we're not the greatest generation because that was my grandparents and what can you say?
We're okay, though.
We're not the worst.
You know, I remember when we were younger, everybody saying, like, we just hung around and we didn't do anything. I think that's every generation until you figure out what you want from your life. And our 16-year-old, that kid, man, he can be lazy, but he's a smart kid. He's doing great in school. He'll do great in life. And eventually he'll have his own kids and he'll be cleaning up after them. And I'll be able to say,
I just wanted to have one just like him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
My mom wished that on me, and man, do I ever regret it.
Oh, come on.
No, I don't. Because I understand exactly what's going through his mind. It's like I'm raising the male version of myself.
Yes. Yeah,
it's
for sure.
Totally true.
Yeah.
All right. Henry, Jeremek, Dave, when you draw, do you tend to always concentrate on an entire section of the character? Or do you jump around from area to area?
I jump around. I mean, obviously, I'm jumping around this guy quite a bit. And I do that, I think, without even really thinking. But part of it is, I think a big reason why I do it is when I'm lighting, so much of my lighting is informed by other areas of the figure, and I want everything to work together. So I can't just light one area and then another and have them not really work in relation to each other. So I just jump around. I never really thought to myself, I'm going to jump around in order to make sure, to avoid problems. It just worked that way. I think I just felt more comfortable that way. And I do the same thing with rendering. I find for me, my rendering when I first start looks like a mess, and it's like lines everywhere. And what am I doing? Once I get a few things in there and things start to play off each other, I can get a feel for it. It happens pretty quickly. Every picture that I draw, I feel a little lost when I start rendering every time. So helps to jump around, I think, for that reason. And this is where and I struggle with this with the tutorials, and I keep saying this right now, but it's making me think about it so much more now that I'm doing tutorials more regularly, is just how much knowledge you have that you don't ever actually think about. It's just, this is the way you do it, and so it's really making me intellectualize things that never were intellectualized for me. And I've helping other artists over the years, a good part of that process has always been, I see a picture that they're doing and I'll say, I don't know about this, why don't you try this, and it's much more focused that way to the problem that I'm seeing, rather than just more of a universalist approach, just trying to come up with blanket rules for things.
We were wrong, by the way.
About what?
BOTW is not Book of the Week.
Yes.
According to Purveyor of Loops, it actually is Breath of the Wild.
Right.
Or Book of the Week.
Either or.
One or the other. Take your pick. Alright, let me scroll down. I apologize to Rodrigo de Silva because this is not translate for me. So I'm so sorry that I can't read your question.
Well, while you struggle with that, let me just quickly say, and I try to remember to say this every week, but it's important for me to say this because he does so much great work. Eric Grove, who's here moderating, and he's also the administrator for...
We love Eric.
Yeah, he's great. And Mike Stewart, I think Mike is here. I'm sure that I saw him here. Mike is a moderator on the Discord. And so, yeah, thank you to both of them.
All right. Annette Thomas. Hello, Meredith. How long have you been drawing? And is your work rows available and where? Annette, thank you so much for your question. I am not an artist, but I can write a not so bad comic, I'm told. So, yes, Rose is available. I actually hire people who are amazing artists. That's my goal, If you're gonna get a book, that's written by me, it'll have amazing artwork. And Rose is available from your local comic book shop. Some bookstores carry it too. I know you can order it online through Amazon. It was published by Image Comics. So if you type my name and Rose, or my name and Rose in Image Comics, you shouldn't have any trouble finding it. There are 3 trade paperbacks out, and the book ends with the 3rd trade paperback. So it's a full and complete series. And Kenny Wang. Hi Dave, I've noticed that in some of your work, like in I Am Bane, the colors are quite flat. Do you prefer colors with lots of gradients or flatter colors?
I prefer colors with gradients. You know, what I don't like is colors that get so dark that they obscure the art. But I don't prefer flat colors. I think that's something that's kind of, you know, for whatever reason, kind of been in style a little bit lately. And I think it looks phenomenal on, and, you know, I'm sure maybe there are people who like it better on my work too, but my preference is something that's a little bit more punchy.
Stern Comic Art says, wow, hatching. Hatching is like an accessory for a girl/women. After hatching, artwork goes to the next level. I love your style.
Well, thank you.
And Keith Aguilar says, what about Meredith doing a writing workshop on YouTube? I don't know if I could do a writing workshop.
I don't see why
I
not.
don't even know how I would do it. How would I do that? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing enough to tell people what to do. It's so hard.
It is. It is hard. It like doing the drawing stuff. Like it can be hard. You know. I think you should try it. It'd actually make you a better writer. Not that. But really, no. I think it'd be good all the way around. Oh man.
Let me give you a backhanded compliment.
It's not how I meant that.
Oh, I love you so much. I know you love me too. It's okay.
I love you.
Super chat from Nick Lenz. He says, you're welcome. View on live action, Maria Hill.
View?
Is there Maria Hill on live action?
Maria Hill is, she is from Avengers. And I actually drew her in a comic first. Like, I drew her first appearance.
That's pretty cool. You drew the first appearance of a lot of characters.
No, not that many.
How many first? There was the White Rabbit.
Right, okay.
Somebody's been asking all night, who's the White Rabbit?
But see, the thing is, White Rabbit's never been in a movie, whereas...
No, fair enough. But Maria Hill has.
I'm talking about characters.
Dazzler? Is that the right one? Was it Dazzler? No, not Dazzler. Who's the one that got killed?
That's Dazzler, but I didn't create Dazzler. I just did a costume for her in Ultimate X-Men. And even that costume, there was a rock musician that Bendis was a big fan of. He said, I want her to look just like this. So he sent me a picture of it, and that's what I did. So yeah, I'm not taking much credit for that.
No. So there.
Unless it appeared in a movie, in which case it's all me.
Right. What else is new? Oh, here we go. Another super chat. Thank you, Dragon12, for bailing me out, because I'm like, where's my next question? Hey, Mr. Finch. And thank you for the super chat.
Yes, thank you, Dragon.
I will be doing Good Conan as well in the next 2 weeks. I would like to compare. Can we do this from Instagram messaging? Why not?
Well, I don't really...
You don't answer your Instagram messages.
No.
So the best place is the Discord.
Yes, absolutely.
Use the Discord, Dragon12.
Yeah.
David does not... If you ever try to get in touch with David, the least likely place to get an answer is his Instagram.
Yes, and that's... Instagram, I've been trying to do it more. I really have, because it's, you know, it's good for promotion and whatever, but I don't use my phone, and you need to have a phone, and so... It's a struggle. Like I did a how to draw female heads tutorial this week, and I wanted to put it up on Instagram, and I didn't because I don't even know where my phone is. Anyway, so I've been posting.
You don't know where your phone is. I don't.
I've been posting on Facebook.
I plugged it in over here somewhere.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
It's gone now. I can see the charger where I plugged it in.
Right, well, somewhere.
Yeah. Somebody asked, and I'm sorry, this question was a while back, about when you're doing a book as a writer, do you get to choose what artist you want to work with, or do you have to pick somebody from the company? And I have actually had quite a bit of choice. I've had it both ways. I've had projects where I was told this was the artist I was working with and had no choice. And then I've also had projects within the same company where I was able to choose. So it just really depends on the book. It depends on the editor that you're working with. So depends on, it's a lot of variables.
Yeah.
Of course, if you're doing your own project, then you get to pick whoever you want to work with.
Well, within the confine of them wanting to work with you.
Right.
I've run into that.
I can say I want to work with Dave Finch, but that doesn't mean Dave Finch wants to work with me.
Or, of course, I would want to, but also just availability too.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, we have another super chat from Nick Lenz.
Thank you so much again, Nick.
Thank you so much, Nick. Nick wants to know how we met. Do you want to tell this story, David?
I want to point out quickly, before I say that, I'm making the holding line on Spiderman just a little thicker because I went so heavy with Venom, and if I go so really thin with Spider, I do this all the time. When I've got two figures on a page, I'll end up having to shore up my foreground figure to push it in front of the background figure. How we met online.
Lava Life, which
I don't think is around anymore, but it's just a dating site.
Your picture was so cute.
Thanks.
It was him sitting on a bed taking a picture in a bedroom mirror.
Yeah, which apparently you're not supposed to do, like people think that's creepy. I don't know why.
My sister told me to swipe left or whatever, right? Keep going. She's like, nope, keep going. But I was like, no, there's just something about him. And then we talked about cars, our first conversation on the phone, didn't we?
Did we?
We did. We talked about, I don't know, I remember you saying something in a manual, you could find something I remember talking about cars.
Wow.
I remember where I was sitting. I was sitting at my computer at the old house.
Yeah, I remember too. I remember where I was sitting. I don't remember what we were talking about, but I'll tell you, if we were talking about cars, you were trying very hard, and I appreciate it.
I've tried really hard for several. The first date we went on, okay, so here's a little bit of Finch trivia tidbit. The first date we went on, we talked on the phone a couple of times, but there would be these big lags in conversation. And I'm like, if I'm going on a date with this guy, I need to go with questions prepared. So I did. I had a list in my mind of 5 to 10 questions that I was going to ask if I felt like the conversation lagged.
She asked me what my favorite color was.
I asked him what his favorite color was, and he's lucky he got a second date. Because most people be like, oh, my favorite color is, for example, I would answer that question, my favorite color is blue. David's answer to that question was, I don't really have a favorite color. And then he proceeded to go into this whole color, there are no colors, blah, 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 blah. Colors are...
I didn't say there are no colors. I didn't go. I just said that colors work in relationship with each other. So it depends on... Anyway.
You gave me such an...
I wasn't even...
This is a PG show, but you gave me such what's the word I'm looking for?
Great, well thought out answer.
No.
And you know what? Everybody here, there's so many artists here, and I'm sure they're like, you know what? I can relate.
You don't, when you're on a date, you don't answer what your favorite color is with that. That's not your answer. But anyway, everything else worked out for you, so
yeah.
Here we are 15 years later.
Yeah, it worked out.
I was very patient. And Jose LeBron is going to bail you out, Dave, with the super chat question.
Well, thank you so much, Jose.
For the super chat and for bailing him out. Will you guys do a comic portfolio review eventually? If so, I'm super interested as I too want to break into comics, finish your dynamic videos and loved them. Going to rewatch and take notes and learn more.
Well, thank you very much for that. And check out Robert Marzullo's YouTube channel, and he'll have an announcement very, very soon. We're going to be doing exactly that. We're going to do portfolio reviews. together. And I think we'll use like Streamlabs so we're gonna have to figure out the specifics of it, but yes, we will be doing that. And I'm really excited about it. This is something I think it'd be a good service, you know? So, yeah. And I think we'd like to do it, you know, on a semi-regular basis if there's interest.
Reviews?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the voice of reason. I'm sorry. Everybody hate. Save your hate. Save your hate. But I just have to be the voice of reason because there's only so much time in a week. And I've seen you give portfolio reviews at conventions. And unless Robert Marzullo is sitting there with a timer that's going to go ding every 5 to 7 minutes, doing portfolio reviews on a semi-regular basis, from a time commitment point of view, could get out of hand. So.
Well, we'll play it by ear, but yeah, I'd like to do it.
Everybody's like, stop Meredith! Stop her now! She's the worst! Somebody has to be the voice of reason in this. Alright.
I'm going to pull out...
We have another super chat story from Daniel.
Okay.
Just to confirm it was one of the week. Thank you, Daniel.
I'm going to pull out quickly here and see a little more of the picture while I do the rest of this. And then from here, once I get the rest of the body is actually not going to take too long because it's so obscured. And then we'll get the detail in because this isn't really the detail pass. This is more still my rendering block in. And Meredith, you're going to have to take over for just a minute and I'll be right back.
What's happening?
I'm getting allergies, my nose is running.
Alright. Everybody's just going to look at the picture.
See, I did that the right way. I said, you know, I need a moment. And then I've got you. What's happening?
I need to know what's going on. Why are we being abandoned? But everybody's looking at that beautiful picture on the screen, soaking it in. I'm trying to think of what I did this week. Actually, for the first time in quite a while, actually since COVID-19 started, I had writing work that was due. And David, always a gracious husband, allowed me to take 2 days away from the family. So yesterday and today, I found myself a little hideaway that was not in the house so that nobody could ask me to make them lunch, or nor did I have to take puppy out on his, yes, purveyor of loops every 45 minutes, sometimes every 20 minutes for a pee break. I didn't have to do laundry. I didn't have to look at the dog hair that needs to be vacuumed, which needs to be vacuumed on a daily basis. So,
All right.
And I had an amazing day today of writing, which was great because I was working on something that I've been getting back into it. I'm sure people who are artists have struggled with this too, but when you've taken a break from something and to try to get back into it, it takes a bit to get those muscles working again. So, thank you, David, for letting me have that time off from my life to get some work done.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a good chance for me to hang out and play video games all weekend instead of working.
Without me hanging over your shoulder.
That's okay. I got work done. I had to.
Well, people are saying that Artsy Bible Nerd says that he would watch a writing workshop. And the most unique channel name Meredith has ever seen, I would always love that name, says Scott Snyder has some good content for writing. Look at what he posts. All right.
Yeah.
And Thomas says, Meredith, I'm also a writer like you, but a totally different genre. You should do what you love and do a workshop.
You should. So, there you go. Absolutely. I
was thinking I would do a Dave teaches Meredith to draw stream, but maybe a writer workshop could be better.
I think it really would be. I mean, you know, it could be fun, but I do think that you doing a writing thing would be, you know, and you're getting actually quite a few questions about writing, so.
Yeah, I'm happy. Always happy to answer writing questions on David's Sunday drawing live stream. Yeah, I need my own stream, man. Me and 10 of my closest friends. All right. Let me go back to our stream. Mark Maldonado wants to know if you've ever used nibs. Like the manga types.
Oh yeah, and I've got a huge box of them, like a whole drawer full of them. I bought tons of them and I stopped using them. They work great. I only stopped using them, and actually you can get a better line out of those than you can get out of these, truthfully. I stopped using them because with these, I can push my lines out this way, you know, and it works fine. I can pull in this way, but I also can do this. And if you do that with a quill, you will have a mess. It sprays everywhere. It catches the paper. It's a little tough. And so this is a little bit more, these are just a little bit more like drawing for me. So they're a little, and because my inking style, I mean, you can see I barely pencil. Well, it depends on the page. I mean, I pencil more for some things for sure, but generally speaking, even things that I pencil more, I don't really do that much. It's much more effective for me to use something that's more like a pencil, so that's why I do it. It's not a better tool, it's just a better tool for me for the kind of art that I'm trying to do. The other thing about using a quill is you have to dip it in ink, and you're constantly running out of ink, and then you have to dip it and you have to clean it out because it dries up in the nib, and yeah, that stuff doesn't happen with these, so it's good that way too. But you know, there's a line quality, like Joe Weems could get with a quill a line quality that I can't touch this way, and that's the truth.
By the way, it wouldn't just be me on, if I did writer workshop. Terry Owe would also be there. She said a writing workshop would be nice. I'm down for that. Maybe me and 5 of my closest friends can do a writing workshop.
Yeah, I'll read the questions for you. How's that?
I'm not sure that would be necessary. You could draw a pretty picture while I do my writing workshop. How about that? Because otherwise people would just have to look at me. That's the one thing about a writing workshop. You'd be stuck looking at me.
The horror.
The horror. Thomas says, artists seem to get ignored in the promotion of and conversation about books these days. It makes it hard to find my favorite artists sometimes, and it takes a lot of fun out of buying monthlies. I know you went through that, where there was a period of time where it was all about the artist.
Yeah, well, the entire history of the comic book medium, it's always been all about the artist, always. And what happened is the internet, because the internet, people most vocal on the internet are obviously the most hardcore fans, and they're more into the characters and the story, and which is great, you know, but they don't care what artist is drawing their comic. They care about the characters and the writing, and because they're so vocal, they totally skewed editors and writers' opinion of their own priorities in terms of, you know, who sells comics. And still, yeah, I think writers, like nowadays, you can't really market a comic just with the artist the way that you used to be able to. And there are some writers that are totally marketable for sure, but I think the price that they paid is now it's very difficult to market a comic, because writers, generally speaking, are not as marketable as artists. And if you're not going to make your artists marketable, if you're not going to put their names out there and really, I forgot to fill in a whole dark area here. I think they're missing out on really, to my mind, the part of comics that makes them special. It's the art. Obviously, a poorly written comic is, you know, nobody wants that. I mean, the writing is so important. It's easily as important as, I still think the art's more important. But I mean, the writing is so necessary for a comic. But yeah, I think that.
Speaking as a writer.
Okay.
If I wanted to only write and not have artwork, I'd write a book. Part of writing comics, and a large part of writing comics, is that it is a visual medium. And so to not promote the first thing people see, like when I pick up a comic, the first thing I see is not the writing, it's the artwork. And that's what makes people pick up comic books.
But now let's say you have artist whatever A on a book, and you've marketed the book with that in mind, and people are buying the book for that reason because that's how you marketed it, and then the artist leaves after a few issues, which is more common than not. I've done it all the time.
Hopefully, I know. So, for example, that happened on Wonder Woman, right?
Hey, I was around for a while.
But you still didn't finish the last couple of issues because you got pulled to go into another project.
Yeah,
But we tried to pick an artist who was similar in style, but not the same. That being said, I do feel the pain of that as a reader, because I remember reading, like, even the Archie comics, which I read as a kid. Sometimes I really liked how Archie and Betty and Veronica were drawn, and sometimes I was like, what's wrong? Why are they different? And as a kid, I wasn't aware enough to recognize that they'd got a different artist. But sometimes I liked the art and sometimes I didn't.
Yeah.
And that ultimately, if it happens on a book that you're already reading, hopefully the writer at that point is so good that you can buy into the writers put some effort into getting that next artist and it'll work for you.
Yeah.
Or if not, and you're only buying for the artist, and it's a visual medium.
Yeah, the truth is, for me, unless it's Neil Gaiman, pretty
Meredith
much,
Finch.
or obviously, yeah, I'm out when the artist is out. Like Alan Davis is Excalibur, you know. I've got the full run, but I don't have any of the issues he didn't draw, and I don't care how. Oh, that's not true. I've got the Joe Mad ones. Joe Mad did 2 issues of that, or maybe even 3. I've got them anyway. Early work from Joe Madureira.
I just want Anthony Gee to know that he's off my Christmas card list. He says, yeah, Meredith Finch, don't ask an artist about color unless you want them to tell you about color.
See? Thank you, Anthony.
No Christmas card for you. This is the thing. This is how far behind I am in the stream, because people are talking about color right now. Alvin's like, I like black or red if I'm talking to someone who says black isn't a color. That's how far back I am in the stream, or people are in the stream. Sky blue realism says sky blue Crayola was my favorite first color. Oh, realism, I knew I liked you. Sorry, we're so far behind. Oh, we will fix this for next week, right? I mean, I'm always sort of far behind, but sad when everybody's having a conversation about color that happened before you went to blow your nose.
Well,
yes, you went to blow your nose.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I've been at a convention before, and this is a long time ago, but yeah, I sneezed all over somebody's comic. And yeah, what do you do then? Like, you know, that was rough. I did not know what to say. And I mean, comic fans are so nice, really, and he was so gracious about it, but wow, yeah, I'm sure he has bad memories of that to this day. This is where I was having trouble with the brush on this one a little bit. Like, I think it's almost empty, and when they start to empty out, they start to really just pour out. And so some of my holding line just got really thick and kind of ugly, and then I can just go in with my whiteout and pretend that I did it right the first time.
Daniel Castelli wants to know what I think of the Hook paintings. That is a super chat question.
Well, thank you for the super chat, Daniel.
Hook paintings.
Yeah, you were talking about it last week. He paints like horses and stuff. You didn't?
Oh, yes, that you sent me. I thought they were incredible. I thought they were really, really great. Thank you so much for sending them to me. They really were. I have to look into more of them. I always like when people send me stuff like that.
Yeah.
Expose me to stuff that I didn't, because there's so much stuff out there. It's impossible to find it all. So I like it when people just drop little tidbits on my lap.
Yeah.
Which is how I found out about Charlie Maxey, was through Facebook. A friend of mine who also likes horses shared one of his, and I was like, oh, that's great. So. Liam MG says, hey Meredith, could you ask Dave, nowadays should rookie pencilers ink themselves, especially if they want to work on paper for original art purposes?
Well, it can be helpful because okay, in some ways you make yourself more hireable because then somebody doesn't have to hire an inker. but you actually hurt yourself because it makes you much slower. I can't ink as quickly as I can just pencil. So that's a factor. And they really want you to, if your pencils are marketable, well, they want to be able to market as much of that as possible. And when you're spending time inking, it may be kind of counterproductive. So, and the other factor is just shipping, because when you're shipping your original art to an inker, that can get pretty expensive. And they were happy to pay that expense when they had no choice, but now that they do, well, they're not quite so happy to do it. So a lot of times what ends up happening is, especially if you're newer, you'll end up just sending the pencil file to the inker, and they'll print it out in blue and ink it, and you'll end up with two pieces of original art, which is not ideal, but that's just kind of how it is now. And I would recommend that if you do that, just sell them both together. Don't sell them separately. So that way you have one piece of original art that's just, you know, there are two pieces that go with it. I don't think collectors like that as much, but that's a thing. I would say if you're doing your art yourself on paper, I would stick to pencils and work with an inker, probably. Yeah. And then it's a matter of finding an inker that works with you well, that you like their style, and you make a good fit. It's a real thing. I mean, it took me, I've had periods where I've been so happy with inks, and then periods where I haven't been happy. And then the worst times are the periods when I have a phenomenal inker who's doing a beautiful job, and I'm just in my head about my own art, and so I blame the inker. I've done that, and it's completely unfair to, you know, some very talented inkers that, anyway, it's a tough job dealing with artists. I'm like going on a tangent about inkers right now, but every time I think about, you know, okay, I'm not going to say any names because I don't want, but yeah, I have one inker in mind especially who is really an incredible inker and a phenomenal artist, and I made his life absolutely miserable, and I'm sorry. And, you know, I'd love to work with him again. I think he'd tell me to go to heck.
Go to AG Double Hockey Sticks. Nick Lenz has a super chat comment. Thank you so much for your super chat comment. And Nick, he says he's been reading comics since 2004.
Wow, that's great.
That's a long time.
That's a long time, yeah. In 2004, I was working on Avengers.
In 2004, I had two small children. I was working on my sanity.
Yeah.
I was working on getting a shower. Lance DeBoyer also has a super chat. Thank you so much, Lance.
Thank you very much, Lance.
Lance says, thanks for sharing your craft. Here's an idea. Meredith pitches a one-pager. We draw it, and Dave and Rob review them. Not a bad idea.
That is not a bad idea at all. You know what? I will mention that to Rob. I think, you know, I think that's a very good idea.
I'm normally so verbose. It'd be hard for me to break everything kind of down into a single page story.
I'm sure you can figure it out.
Probably could. I can, anything you can do. No, that doesn't make, that's the wrong song. I could do it. All right. Modus wants to know if we have any scheduled signing events this year. That is really up in the air right now. First of all, we are not allowed to go to the States yet.
Yeah, we just got contacted by a couple of conventions, and
we might hit a Canadian show.
Maybe, yeah.
We'll see. I know conventions are starting to try to book again.
But yeah, until
we can't go to the States yet.
Right.
They just extended the border closure between Canada and the US until August 21st. So. And
yeah, I couldn't possibly agree to a convention when August 21st is just a date that they have now. I mean, that could totally change again. And
not to mention the fact that at this point going to the States, we would have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
When we get back.
Yeah, that's right.
And the Canadian Border Patrol is very strict. We had friends and their parents came over from the States, they're Canadian, and they were coming back from Florida, and they got calls multiple times a day making sure that they did not leave the property.
Yeah, which is insane, but there you go. They're taking it very seriously.
Yes. So it would be,
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I really think it's just going to be like a next year sort of thing. And honestly,
for us anyway, I'm sure.
The fact that there are no conventions, though, is why I'm doing this, It's being able to connect with you guys. I just, I realize this is going to be a long-term thing, or at least, several months. And I didn't want to just, not have any interaction. So I started doing the channel. Now, I wouldn't stop the channel when conventions start up again, because I really am enjoying it. It seems like it's going well, so I'm not going to quit, but what's that?
We're having fun.
We're having fun.
Even if only 5 people show up.
Hey.
Oh wait, that's my stream we're talking about.
You don't even stream.
I know. Me, myself, and I. That's 3 people.
Right. How am I doing for time?
Oh, it's 9:55 and my computer's down to 26%.
This is your fault. You didn't charge it.
I did. I mean, I worked all day and then I forgot to charge it at the end.
It should last, though.
Well, how far away are you?
I've got about 2 hours left.
No, you don't. This couch is not very comfy.
Oh, you know what? I'm not quite done with that pen. Hold on. I zoomed out because I didn't want to be zoomed in the whole time, and I figured I'll be finished with this pen pretty quickly. Wrong.
Everybody agrees art first, writing second.
See? There you go.
Artists make the comics. There you go. Alright. Nick has another super chat question. Thank you so much, Nick. He wants to know if you remember working on Avengers Disassemble.
I sure do. Yeah, absolutely. I was working on Ultimate X-Men with Brian Bendis, and I was loving it. I'm a huge X-Men fan. X-Men is the comic that got me into comics, so I didn't want to leave. I just wanted to keep doing the book. And he went to a writer summit. This is where all the main writers of their, I guess Marvel, DC does them too, of their main titles get together and decide what their publishing plan is going to be for the next year. And I got a call. I didn't even know that they had one, because as an artist, we don't get consulted in that. And I got no complaints about that, believe me. I went to one before. I was writing Batman. I did one writer summit, and that was enough to do me in for ever doing that again. Nightmare. Anyway, and he said, yeah, they were talking about doing Avengers, relaunching it and trying something different with it. And, he asked me if I wanted to do it. And he said it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna have Wolverine in it and Spider-Man in it. And at that point, I'm like, okay, sure, I'll do it. I had no idea. Actually, he didn't even say it was Avengers. I think he just said it's a really cool project. It's gonna have these characters in it. I didn't even know what it was gonna be. I agreed to it on the spot, and then I found out what it was, and it was a blast.
Like hot diggity dog.
Well, I wasn't an Avengers fan. I shouldn't say that, but it's true. I really wasn't. I liked X-Men. So when I first heard about it, I thought, oh no, I didn't know what to, and Avengers always had a bit of a different aesthetic than I was really comfortable with. And I was afraid, oh no, this is going to be so different than what I do comfortably. And I just decided I'm just going to go with it and let the chips fall where they may. If it works, it works. If it, so I drew the way that I draw, which is much more shadowed and a little more dramatic, I guess, just because I just draw with shadow. So yeah, and it worked out. I know we got a lot of people that were very upset that were fans of how Avengers had been for years, which is understandable, of course, but.
So everybody's talking about your sneeze.
Yeah.
They're going to clone you. Somebody got the DNA off that page, and there's going to be a Dave Finch clone walking around. Also, I'm getting some flack for my color question, because Artsy Bible Nerd says, do you ask a musician what their favorite note is? It's not the same.
It's the same. It's the same. Thank you.
I'm just trying to ask questions of the guy who doesn't talk, and then...
By the way, 15 years we've been together. I've been hearing about that
Yeah.
for 15 years.
Also, the comics that you happened, quote unquote, to have in the trunk of your car.
You know what? If I would have brought them like into the date, hey, look at this, that would have been weird. But I had them because I figured.
I just figured you lived in your mom's basement.
Well, here's the thing: you tell a girl that you draw comic books, there are going to be questions there because, especially, I mean, she had 2 kids, you know, and the question is going to be, you know, is this guy like, living in his mother's basement, and is this an actual?
It was your subtle way of showing me the BMW.
It's a real job.
Yeah, that you drove a BMW.
Yeah.
Although, who knew, that could have been your daddy's.
It could have been. It's true.
But you're old enough that, you know.
I was so trying to impress you that I drove that thing. It was like winter and there was snow on the ground, like a lot of snow, and it wasn't really the greatest for snow. And I was like, oh, I didn't care.
You must have really liked me.
I did, obviously.
Aww.
What was I thinking?
I don't know. I had you totally fooled.
Yeah.
All right, and then we're gonna switch to the artist leaving books comment. David Turney says, in regards to artist leaving books, Jerome Opina's work on Seven to Eternity is incredible and totally made the book. When he left for a few issues, it was distracting and took away from the story.
Yeah, Jerome Opina is so good though. Like, some artists are irreplaceable, and he is definitely one of those. I would not want to be following him up on something.
All right, and then we have a super chat question from Brandon Spence.
Thank you so much, Brandon.
And Brandon wants to know if you checked out La Morte Vivante that he mentioned last week.
I haven't. I've got it written down, and I will. It's been a busy week, so it always is though.
Every week.
It's no excuse because it's always been so busy lately. And a big part of that is just, you know, keeping up with the channel, and it's not like I'm not working or working less, and so I'm supplementing my time with the channel. I'm as busy as I ever am, so just really trying to balance the two.
We're so far behind that Lance DeBoyer had to ask if we caught the super chat. But we did get your super chat, Lance, because that was one about me writing a one-pager.
Okay.
So thank you for everybody for being super patient with us tonight, because what can I tell you?
We'll have it sorted out for next week.
We'll fix it for next week.
I will, hopefully. Oh, you know what? I wanted to zoom in for this because I'm doing detail. Let me come in a bit.
Get in there. So Eric Tong wants to know, hi Mrs. Finch, what was the thought on writing Wonder Woman's armor? Why did you decide to give her armor? Was this a DC company attempt or something you felt was missing with the character design?
Are you asking? Are you waiting for me to answer?
I kind of am. I can't even remember.
Okay, DC asked for a redesign. Okay. They did actually a redesign at the time of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. I don't know how long they intended them to be in place, but Superman had a t-shirt for a little bit. You know, Batman ended up being like a robot, so they just did some different stuff. And yeah, so that's all that was. This is where, yeah, you're working on your book and then you just get edicts, and you know, it's part of the job.
Yeah, I think it worked out though.
Yeah.
Her Wonder Woman 84, the armor that she's wearing looks similar enough.
Yeah, Meredith keeps saying this to me. Oh, I think they were looking at it. I don't know, but
we need to take a poll.
And if the poll agrees, then they officially took it.
We need to compare our Wonder Woman armor / costume with the Wonder Woman 84 armor costume. I want you guys to take a look at both and let us know.
This is the problem. I zoom in and then I'm just drawing off the page the whole time.
All we can see is your hand.
Yeah, well, I'm in there now. I'm gonna hazard a guess that they've never even seen our Wonder Woman.
I disagree with that. I disagree. I mean, they read before the last Wonder Woman. They read all of Brian Azzarello's stuff. like the Ares God of War stuff was in there.
That's true. It was.
So they obviously are informed by the comics.
Oh yeah, they are. Yeah, okay.
And when they're looking, like, you don't think they Googled Wonder Woman costumes to see what had been done in the past?
All right. Well, yeah, sure, maybe.
I mean, that's just an image search. You didn't have to read the comic to see that.
All right.
Yeah, I'm right. You're wrong.
All right.
That's right. All right. Makuze wants to know, hey Dave, quick question. How long did it take you to start getting better at perspective?
Well, I did a perspective video, and that really covers the way that I approach it. And so when I learned how to do it that way, that was a huge leap forward there. But then I really didn't work on it much until I actually broke into comics. And some of the first work that I did was doing backgrounds for Mark Silvestri for Cyberforce. And so it was a real, learn on the job, screw things up, and have Mark say, no, that's wrong. And, so I kind of went through a bit of a... I also had Scott Williams inking my backgrounds, which was a huge bonus because he would just erase things that didn't work and fix it because he totally knows what he's doing. So, and when you have people fixing your work like that and making it more professional, you pick up on what they're doing to fix things. And so, yeah, I learned very, very fast. It's amazing. Yeah, when you're learning on the job, that was one thing. I learned perspective fast. I will say a thing that was harder for me with perspective and took a little bit more time was just I have no idea what's going to be in a shot. I'm trying to plan a shot and then trying to figure out what perspective to use. And I get that question sometimes. And really the answer to it is, a 1 point or 3 point or 2 point or 3 point perspective really depends. If you're looking down at a scene, it can either be a 2 point or look, I hate to stop and
don't do it.
I'll make it quick. I'm gonna do it on the back again. Oh, I've already gone on the back here too. Okay, so here's my panel, and I want a character. You're looking down at him, and he's standing on the ground, and so I'm gonna draw my perspective like this. So I've got my horizon here, these lines connect to here, and then I've got another point here. So now this is a 2 point perspective, but I still need my verticals. Well, because I'm looking down at it, it gets larger as it gets toward me. So I'll put a point down here, and here's my third point. And so now here's, the room that he's in. I can draw, there's a wall here. Maybe I'll put a door here. I could have like a desk behind him, picture on the wall, or a window, whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's obviously terribly drawn, but that's how I would plan perspective based on the kind of shot that I want. So let's say I'm drawing a city scene. I'll draw another panel, and I want to be in the city, basically at ground level. So let's say I'll draw a character. He's standing here drinking coffee. And I'm going to just say my horizon's going to be here arbitrarily because I want it to be around eye level, just maybe a little bit higher. That means that any character that I draw in that panel, his chest is here. So any character, their chest will just intersect with that line. Makes it super easy. I'll draw a little tiny person here and his chest is on that line. I'll draw a much bigger person here and you can see, part of their, and I'll draw another one here just so it doesn't look so... I drew him too high. See, look at that. I already screwed up. Here's another person here. And then I'll put my perspective point here. And let's say I want a building. And here's a doorway for my building. I'll put an awning out here. So this is going to be... And now I'm not doing a 3 point perspective because I'm looking directly into the scene. So it's going to be a 2 point perspective if I put another point here, or a 1 point perspective if I just go straight across. I prefer a 2 point over a 1 point almost every time because I just think it looks more realistic unless you're looking directly flat at something. And then another example, and I'll make this super quick, Meredith, I'm sorry, but okay. So I'm going to draw a city where I'm looking up. Let's say I've got my character here and he's looking up into the city to the tops of the buildings, and maybe Superman's flying overhead. There's Superman. So I know I want my buildings to, so I'm going to draw a point because all my buildings are going to converge toward the top because they're getting larger toward me. And my horizon's going to be here because that's where my eye level is. And so I'm going to draw my perspective lines out like this and another set out like this. And so here's my building. There's one. What? There's another one. There you go. That's how I make those decisions. Apologies, Meredith.
All right, we have another super chat from Daniel Castelli. He says, we really appreciate, thank you so much, Daniel, for the super chats. We really appreciate that Dave and Meredith do this stream. It's a great escape from the pandemic. By the way, I just started work with King, and I was blown away.
Oh, well, thank you, Daniel.
And yeah, your stuff with Tom was really great.
It was, I really enjoyed doing it. And it was like a revisit for Batman for me because I had done Batman for a while.
You got to go back and...
Yeah, and then I did some other books.
Without the pressure of having to write it.
Yes. Yeah, which was great.
And also, Henry Jeremic says that my excuses are automatically always valid, so don't argue with them.
Your excuses?
My excuses.
All right, fair enough. I know this already, so,
That's right. You do know this, so I don't know why you argue, but you do. Lance Boyer is reminding you that you were the first to draw Ronin.
Yeah.
Oh, tell your Ronin story, Dave.
Okay, so I drew Ronin on the cover. It was an alternate cover for New Avengers #1. And I drew him with like this blank face and like more of a high-tech kind of a look. And Joe Quesada hated it. And it was actually really, what he did was much more in keeping with what the design brief was. So I really should, it's my fault. But anyway, he redesigned it. And so the Ronin that you see is Joe Quesada's design. But it is true, I drew him first in a comic, but I did not even design that costume.
See, that wasn't even the Ronin story I wanted you to tell.
Oh, okay, tell me.
The one where you knew who Ronin was, and you told somebody who Ronin was, even though you weren't supposed to tell somebody who Ronin was.
Oh yeah, you love that story.
And then Ronin ended up being somebody totally different because you told somebody who Ronin was.
Okay, so I was talking to somebody who worked in comics, and I've learned my lesson more than once, more times than I really should have to. And yes, I told somebody who Ronin was. We were at a bar at a convention. Oh, you can tell me, don't worry about it. And so I told him. Next thing you know, he's on the internet saying, hey, I know whatever. I couldn't believe it. And so yeah, Bendis actually ended up changing who Ronin was as a result. He was thrilled. You can imagine. Bendis loved that.
I'm sorry.
And then there was that, and then I was working on Ultimatum, and I inadvertently let something slip in an interview, and at that point, Marvel called. I think it was Tom Brevoort called and said, "David, we need you to be a little more careful." They were totally nice about it. I'm sure they could have brought the hammer down. They're great, like really. Both Marvel and DC, so many editors go back and forth. It's if there's a good reason to work in comics, it's just working for such great people. Everybody's a comic fan. We're all kind of on the same page. Everybody just wants to do some quality work and have fun with it. I think if you want to just make money, there are probably easier ways, I'm sure. And so yeah. Anyway, point being, totally screwed up and got busted.
Hey, do you have an ETA before Everett turns into a pumpkin?
You know what? I'm just about finished.
Okay, so let me throw this at you. Brandon Lewis. Hey, Dave and Meredith, one of the best things at Boston Comic Con 2018 was meeting you both. I was really nervous to show you my art. Have you ever been nervous to show your art to someone you admire?
Yes, I certainly have been. Absolutely.